Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever or whenever you are. We are so thankful that you decided to join us for this, the inaugural episode of the Next Level Solutions Empowercast. I'm your host, editor, and producer, Ryan Baines, and I'm joined by the Ronnie Smith, the CEO of Next Level Solutions. Ronnie, so glad to be here with you and to launch this thing out. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but it's finally here.
You know, I'm super excited about this Empowercast. You know, when we were putting this together, Ryan, one of the things that was key, we were talking about podcasts and stuff like that, but then we started talking about, if you remember, we were talking about what about the power of lead generation? What about the power of this? And that's where you came up, why don't we just call it Empowercast? And I honestly, truly think that hopefully what the Empowercast is going to do is it's going to bring education to the owners. It's going to bring far as being able to execute on their dreams and then empower the team to be able to take information and to execute on that plan. So I'm excited about this thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So today on the Empowercast, we want to discuss the power of consulting. So, you know, you're a business consultant with years and years of experience in the industry, and I'm not calling you old, but we really want to tap into that brain of yours and determine what your definition of a business consultant is and talk about what it means to be operating in the consulting field and also talk about what Next Level Solutions brings to the consulting space. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my mind, there's two different types of things you could look at. In this space, you have a lot of coaches. And they're pretty much kind of going in and kind of coaching them up on sales, or they're coaching them up in certain arenas. The business consultant and a consultant is just a different way of looking at inside of the business. And we, as a consultant, we are looking at all of the avenues of their business. We are digesting everything in terms of their P&L reports. We're looking into their staffing. We're looking into basically every component of the company and then putting together a roadmap that will take a company from point A all the way to point Z and then have all the processes and the metrics inside of that. And so what Next Level brings to that is we do truly look at all of the quadrants of the business. And so when we're consulting, we're not just consulting in one area. We're consulting and we're looking at what their marketing looks like. What kind of marketing budget do they have? But then we're also looking into the operations around looking at, well, what is your culture? What is your core values? What is your why? And I'm starting to hear a lot of people talk about this in this industry, and they're starting to see this shift, this paradigm shift in this industry and understanding how important that the culture is. But it goes even deeper than that, because how do you measure your team? How do you measure how well they're doing? And it really comes down to the metrics. So Next Level has really done a really good job in being able to look into every quadrant of that business, from marketing to operations, looking at their standard operating procedures if they don't have those, and then looking in terms of kind of like the example of sales, and then accounting and HR and hiring and all of those cool things.
So I love all of that. One of the biggest takeaways that I got from everything that you just said, and you may laugh at this, but you know, most people, when you hear them talking about taking businesses from somewhere to somewhere, they say from point A to point B. And you actually said you were going to take them from A all the way to Z. So you're covering a lot more ground than, you know, the average business consultant. So I love that. So today we want to hit three key areas, and we'll take the time that we need to fully flesh out each topic and question so we can try and answer as many questions as possible. But if you have questions beyond what we cover in the episode, feel free to shoot us a message at questions@nxtlvlsolutionsinc.com. We'll put that on the screen. Pop us a line. Ask your question. We'll get back to you as quick as we can, because we're here to help you. That's what this whole thing is all about, is helping people. Before we get to these three questions, we want to give just a few minutes to our sponsor, Roof Shield, which is the next generation in asphalt shingle reconditioning. Take it away, Ronnie.
Hey everyone, my name is Ronnie Smith. I am one of the co-founders of Roof Shield. I want to talk to all my roofing buddies in the roofing space. I have 2 questions that I want you to answer for yourself. Number 1, did you actually meet or supersede your revenue goal for 2022? And then the second question I want to ask you is, how many jobs did you actually leave on the table because the consumer decided that they didn't want to do the replacement? I would highly recommend you to consider Roof Shield. And here's the reason why. Roof Shield is 98% USDA bio-preferred and is one of the greenest products on the market today. You can add Roof Shield into your existing business, add it as an additional service. You already have all of the customers that you've done business with in the past in your pipeline, so you have immediate lead generation. I want to encourage you to do something for me. Click the link below and schedule a 30-minute consultation with one of my TSMs. And they will be able to go over and provide you with all of the information so you can make an informed decision. And one thing I want to make sure that I'm very clear on, this is not a high pressure sales opportunity. We want to provide you with all of the information that you need as a business owner so you can make an informed decision for yourself to determine whether or not having something like a roof rejuvenation in your pipeline would help you to grow your business. So do yourself a favor today, click the link, schedule your meeting, and I hope that I can see you in this beautiful place that I'm living right now in Aberville, Alabama. See you soon.
It's very uncommon to where you see a person be involved in 2 different companies at the same time. And it's very hard sometimes when you're looking at both sides of this. But I will tell you with Roof Shield, one of the primary focuses, the reason why I decided to get involved in it is because I saw a lot of potential to what Roof Shield, the actual rejuvenation could do for roofing companies. And when you're looking inside of a business and you have the roof replacements, you have repairs, well, the rejuvenation side of it is just a bonus and an add-on to what it can do. And partnering up with some of the best people out there that I could even imagine to not only call them friends, but also to be business partners with these guys. And we have formulated a great community. We're building out some awesome core values of everything that we've been talking about. So I will tell you right now that if you're in the roofing space, if you're in the soft wash space, if you're in the solar space, you better get on board and look at this rejuvenation piece of it, because it is going to really take storm, and it's going to really pick up. It's going to really catapult at a high level and being able to offer these different services. So I definitely want to just say thanks to Roof Shield and just being a part of this whole thing that we're putting together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And if you're interested in a Roof Shield dealership as a business owner or an entrepreneur, or you just have a roof that needs cleaning, reach out at roofshield.com or check out at Roof Shield USA on all social media channels. So, Ronnie, our first of 3 topics we want to discuss today, the first one's pretty easy and you've kind of already covered a bit. Well, we want to go a little deeper now. What is your definition of a business consultant?
My definition of a business consultant is literally looking into the business and looking deeper than what a coach would look at. It really is kind of defining moment of being able to find all of the pain points that the business is going through and be able to consult with them in a way to give them the information that they need to be able to make the changes they need to make in order to be able to move a company forward. And that's pretty much my definition. What we found out in the consulting world is that you have startup companies, they don't know what to do. And they're looking for that advice. They're looking for someone to really that understands the industry, someone that's been there, someone that's done that. And then being able to look at that and then be able to expound upon that to give them the advice they need to make the right decisions in moving their business forward.
So one thing I grabbed out of that, so you do believe that there is a difference between what, people who call themselves business coaches and people who call themselves consultants.
Yeah. There's actually some different I don't have it in front of me, but there are some different definitions when it comes to a coach, and it actually gives you some of the actual things that are different. And if I'd have known, I had those, and I could have brought them in here and be able to give them to you. But there is a difference in the coaching, because they're looking at ways to how to coach someone up and make that person better in what they do. So like, you take a salesperson, I want to be able to coach them and be able to level them up in sales, or I want to be able to coach them up. It's kind of like and you look at like Alabama, right? You look at Coach Saban, he's coaching a team. He is like leveling them up as a team. But there's a lot of the consultants that go deeper than just the surface of coaching. It really is you're looking for all of the problems and the pain points, and you're having to find the solutions and the pathway that will remove the obstacles. So it's just a deeper dive than what a coach would typically do.
So to kind of refine that a little bit, what I'm seeing in my head is, so a coach is kind of looking at the overall picture and trying to improve that picture, but then a consultant is someone who is going to really get in there and kind of do the dirty work and do the background stuff, the culture assessments and all those things like that are really going to help a business define who they are and what they represent, and not just from a business standpoint, but from a heart standpoint as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a very good way of putting that. Very nicely said and very well put.
Okay, so now we want to go ahead and jump to topic number 2. And, we have touched on some of this already, but who is business consulting for? The short answer is anybody that owns or operates a business can benefit from business consulting, but we really want to help people understand, what it is that's going to create this target audience for someone who needs a business consultant.
That brings up, that's a great question, actually. So I will give you 3 areas inside of the business that a lot of times they could really use the consultants. So number 1 is, I've always said, you have your startups. Your startup is a company that is looking to start a business, but they don't really know where to begin. They don't know a lot when it comes to, do I need to be an LLC, or do I need to be an S corporation, or do I need to be a sole proprietor? How do I just get leads? How do I get going in business? What does day one look like? What's the long term? So you do have those startups. Now, a lot of times the startup business, sometimes they may feel like, what a consultant would charge them to come in. It's an investment, guys. It's an investment in your business. It's not always the cheapest way of going, but it is definitely one of the better ways to see your profits grow. The second person that will benefit from this is, there's a lot of people that may be in business for 5, 6, 7 years, and they knew how to sell, they knew how to get it up off of the ground, but they never established the operations, the core value within the way that company should run. How do I hire? How do I fire? What type of candidates am I looking for? How do I know when I need to hire somebody? Those types of things. And they haven't really run their business by the numbers and looking at the health of the company. And then you have the third company. You have those companies that's been in business for 25 plus years, and they made it work. They're not necessarily looking to go and continue to grow because they've been in business, they're established, but just having better organization, better efficiencies will actually organically cause that business to grow just from those things. And I've seen it time and time again. So it is true, anybody in the business world that wants to do it, they can benefit and get the right information and be able to get the things that they need to be able to grow their businesses. But typically, a business that is starting up, there again may not have those funds, but 5 employees or more, anywhere from $2 million up to $100 million in size is the company that Next Level actually works with.
Okay, so I'm going to put that in terms that I understand, because I know, with you being in the business world and having been around business people, business owners, and all this stuff, what does someone who's not had as much exposure to that world, how do they see everything that you just said? So in my brain, and my brain might be a little weird, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I see shallow end swimmers. I see people that can that are just dipping their toes in, just kind of testing the waters. I see your people that are swimming in the deep end, that are a little more skilled, that are knowledgeable. And then also in the middle of that, you've got your drowning people. Your people that are they know how to swim, but maybe they just got overwhelmed. And that's an area that a business consultant can help all of those. You can teach the new swimmers how to swim. You can teach the experienced swimmers how to swim better, and you can save the drowning people.
That is a great way of putting it, and I think you've also heard this terminology, and from my business partner Joey, talking is almost like a child, a newborn baby, and so your business could be basically a small infant. And when you're doing that, you're up all night. You're not getting very much sleep. You're exhausted, and you're putting a lot of effort, a lot of emotions into the child when they're first born. But at some point, that child's going to get a little bit older, and things begin to get a little bit easier. They're a little bit you can manage it better. And then there's that third layer. At some point, your child is going to grow up, and they're going to go off to college. And then you're going to be able to kind of sit back and enjoy all the hard work of what you did over that period of time.
Absolutely. That's another great way to look at it. I love Joey's analogy on that.
Yeah.
So, we've covered 2 questions now. We're already to the final question. And, we've addressed who a business consultant is. We've addressed who it's for. Now, the next question is, how does business consulting change the game for business owners? Because I've been around you and your team. I've worked with you. I've watched you work. I've heard conversations. And I know the answer to this question. But I want you to tell our audience exactly how a business consultant can take a company to, as you say, the next level.
So, Ryan, you being a part of the team and everything, it truly is looking at it from kind of like looking at the end of where the company's going, and then being able to back it up into the small pieces. And so when we started, even like Roof Shield, right, the very first thing that we did is we started collaborating. We started looking at branding. And one of the things that I did earlier on in the process is we established the job descriptions. We established putting people in the right seats, making sure that everybody kind of stayed in their lane. And honestly, even though we're still figuring some stuff out, I've done this for Next Level, and we literally, it's just a check down. And so one of the things that helps is, and I use this analogy, and I kind of came up with it, but I felt like that when we launched Roof Shield and Next Level, they were almost parallel. It was almost like having 2 747s sitting on the runway. You go through your check down. You're making sure that everybody's in place. You're making sure for safety. You're making sure that you have all the like T's crossed, all the I's dotted, and then you empower the people. And one of the things that we did, right, we went through this whole educating piece. And if I had to put it in 3 words, it's all about if we can educate the owners, and then if we can empower the staff, then they can execute on the vision of that company. And so, earlier on, we saw success pretty much right out of the gate because everybody, they knew the plan. We were educated up on the processes, what we're doing, how we're going to do it. And then everybody felt empowered, and we executed on it, which has kind of arrived to where Roof Shield is right now, and then also where Next Level is right now.
Yeah, and it's so true. There is so much that goes into, not just running a business, but starting a business and staying in business that, I think a lot of people take for granted. I know a lot of times, I've spent a lot of time at the employee level. And for me, it was always easy for me to get frustrated with management or leadership or whoever it was because I was not seeing the back end of what they were having to go through and experience just to to keep the doors open, to keep the lights on, to keep leads coming in, to keep to keep selling, to keep growing, as a business. And that's one thing that I think is so great about what Next Level Solutions does is they truly care about the people that they are interacting with, and they're trying to, that educate, empower, execute mentality is so important for business owners to be able to be successful. And I think it's so great that you're on this journey. I know it took you some time to get here, but it's awesome having kind of a front row seat to just see how all of this has happened and unfolded, and to be here with you now.
And I appreciate that too, Ryan, because, it is a lot of work. And when you're in business, a lot of times people don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They don't understand the hours that you're putting in, and the planning that you're doing. And one of the things that's been important for us is that we set the goal, right? Right out of the bed, we set the goal. We knew the goal. But then we had to figure out, well, how are we going to get there? What is going to be some of the largest challenges that we're going to have to face? And we even were going through this even on the Rusha side with the lead generation. What does that look like? And even recently, you going through there. But the way that we overcome that, guys, in business, you have to communicate. And I have said this for years and years and years, and it has held true today. And I will give you the top 5 things that I typically see everywhere I go, to where there's the top issues. The number one problem that I face everywhere I go is communication breakdown. And a lot of times it's communication breakdown between the office and the employees internally, but it's also a communication breakdown externally to their customers. That is the number one problem, because the information is not going back and forth. And then the second problem that I typically see is poor visibility, is that the owners don't have visibility into the business. And it's not just where the jobs are, it's about the health of the company. It's about, do we have good customer satisfaction? Are we taking care of the customers? And then follow up. Follow up is so critical. You cannot, if you're paying for leads and you're getting these things in and you're not maximizing on that. So that's a huge problem. And a lot of times they're leaving hundreds and thousands of dollars on the table just because they don't follow up. And then the biggest one other problem I'll tell you is that no matter who you are or what you're doing in business, you got to commit. There has to be a commitment. And sometimes our eyes they turn left, they turn right. But at the end of the day, we have to be committed in what we're doing, where we're going, and everybody sees the vision. They know the vision. And so to me, that's part of everything that we have done, in the last several months.
Yeah, and going back to that communication piece, one thing I have seen in my own personal experience, and this is something that I don't feel exists in the Next Level culture or in the Roof Shield culture that I've seen. But, a lot of times management is quick to communicate outward, but they have a problem listening. I think sometimes some of the most important feedback that you can get are from the people that are on the ground floor, that are doing the dirty work that, management is not doing. And so it's super important as you communicate to understand that communication is a two-way street. And not only do you have to communicate outward and communicate your vision, but you also have to listen, because I believe that helps shape the vision that you're trying to communicate.
That brings up a good point, and I just want to touch on that for just a second. It really 100% it does make a huge impact. And one thing that I will tell you is that in large corporations, a lot of time when you're a small company and there's 4 or 5 of you and you're communicating, you're able to make decisions a lot faster. But as the company begins to develop and it begins to grow, and you start getting all of the different levels of management, you got executive and your middle management, I honestly feel like that sometimes big corporations miss it because at the executive level, they have not gone through everything that the middle management has to do. And they'll bring people into their workforce that has never gone through and sat in the seat of what a middle management or an employee has to go through to really understand the pain points that they have. So how do you fix something and how do you lead somebody if you have personally never gone down that path? And so I've seen a lot of disconnects that way to where executive level, they'll get in, they'll have meetings and they'll go through those things. And then they leave the middle management out, to your point, and to where if they would pull back and say, okay, hey, look, this is a company issue. This is a company problem. Let's get buy-in from the people that is actually running that group. Let's hear from them. And that's another separation with a consultant versus a coach and stuff like that, is you have to be able to listen. And there's a lot of listening going on and getting a lot of the information you need until you can find basically the direction as a consultant that you need to take that company that will help them level up. But I 100% agree with you that you have to listen to the staff and that are in it, that are doing it. And I believe in living it, eating it, drinking it, and everybody doing it together.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So speaking of listening, we want to thank everyone for listening to this first episode of the Empowercast. It's so great, wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day or if you're doing it while you're working out or, while you're working, thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Follow Next Level Solutions on all social media. We'll put the links in the description. Be sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or, if you're listening wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for giving us your time. And, it is an honor that we do not take lightly, for you to take time out of your day to listen to us. So with that, I think that's pretty much a wrap on the first episode of the Empowercast. Ronnie, what are your final thoughts?
I just want to thank everybody for just tuning in and supporting Next Level. I'd like to thank all of my resource partners. There's a lot of them out there that believed in me, and I would just like to thank those guys. You know who you are, and I'm looking forward to 2023. Come follow us. We're going to have some great episodes moving forward on the Empowercast. I've got a lot of the people that's in this industry that's going to be setting in on these sessions with us, and we're going to get into some really strong content, get into some strong conversations on how to level up your business and take it to the next level.
Absolutely. So with that, I am Ryan Baines, your host, editor, and producer, and Ronnie Smith. We want to thank you, and we will see you at the next level.